Hello ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I have a brand new ranking for you all, and I am going to be ranking all 9 of director James Cameron's movies. So after a long, grueling 13-year wait, we now finally have Avatar: The Way of Water as it released in theaters this past weekend, marking the 9th film in the legendary James Cameron's illustrious filmography. This man is responsible for some of the highest grossing and, in my honest opinion, best movies of all time. So where does his first movie in over a decade land among the rest? Well, we're about to find out. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. There are already over 100 videos currently on that playlist, so if rankings are your thing, then I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 9. Piranha Part 2: The Spawning. Yeah, don't bother to watch this movie, unless for whatever reason you're a James Cameron purist and want to go through the absolutely just awful process of trying to track this movie down, then by all means go for it, all the power to you, but I don't recommend it. This was his directorial debut, and it is just straight up trash. I mean, you can watch the trailer, look at the reviews, all signs point in the same direction. Maybe there is a small, slim fan base cult following out there somewhere that I'm not aware of, but in my honest opinion, this is the only one of his filmography that you should probably skip. Number 8. The Abyss. Really, this is sort of a strange tale, kind of an enigma in James Cameron's career. This movie just completely flew under the radar for decades, and I literally mean decades, but for some reason over the last decade, it seems like people are really coming around to it, and it's garnered a huge following that is pretty much begging and demanding and constantly pestering James Cameron for a 4K re-release of this movie. So really, this one has just garnered a massive following as of late, and I think it totally deserves it. This movie has a solid cast, and yes, the main plot is a bit basic, but the mystery is intriguing enough to keep you engaged throughout its entire runtime. And of course, in typical James Cameron fashion, it has boundary-breaking VFX that pushed far beyond the limits of what was thought to be capable at that time. What I personally think it comes down to, though, whether you're gonna love this movie or hate it, or I guess just kind of think it's fine, because I don't really know if it's possible to hate this movie. Like I said, it's pretty darn good, but anyway, what it's going to come down to is the ending of this movie. Some people are going to love it, believing that it subverted every expectation that they had, and it's really going to kind of offer up a new, unique, fresh perspective on everything that just transpired. But on the other hand, some people might think that he took it a step too far, and that might kind of completely pull them out of the entire experience and ruin everything they just saw. Nevertheless, though, like I said, this one has garnered a massive following as of late, and if you want to see if you should be among them, then check this one out for yourself. Number 7. True Lies. So if you couldn't tell, I am a massive fan of James Cameron. I was just singing the praises for The Abyss, and that was in the second last spot on this list. True Lies has it all. Look, I am a massive Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I grew up loving Arnie movies and Sylvester Stallone movies, the two biggest 80s and 90s action stars if you ask me, and pretty much everyone else. You know, my dad grew up watching those movies, so I in turn grew up watching those movies, so Arnold Schwarzenegger immediately drew me to this movie. I think that he gives an excellent performance. I think that Jamie Lee Curtis is superb. I also love Bill Paxton's role in this movie. R.I.P. to that legend. I love that guy. I think it's got the right amount of corny and goofiness, like of course Arnie's famous one-liners like "You're fired" from this one. I think that the story has the right amount of spy work and espionage. The action is fantastic. And all around, this is just a super enjoyable spy action movie. Number 6. Titanic. Arguably the greatest love story ever told, wrapped up in some tragic true events. Some people like to bash the Titanic because of the love story that's at the center, but to me that's always been the heart and soul of the movie, and everything that actually takes place on the Titanic all the way up until the end is kind of just in the back seat, but I think that's a totally okay approach to everything that happened. But truth be told, when that last half of the movie hits, it hits hard. James Cameron and his team went all in between everything that goes on inside the Titanic with the water filling up and all of the chaos that ensues. The performances are just spectacular. Seeing the boat snap in half and the fact that the vast majority, if not all of that, was done practically with miniatures. There really isn't much not to love in Titanic. Number 5. The Terminator. So as of today, rightfully so, this first Terminator movie is considered an action sci-fi classic. But truth be told, the thing that I've always loved about it the most is the fact that many sequences and scenes throughout this movie very carefully tread that line of actually leaning into the horror genre a little bit. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people really talk about, but it's something I've always loved. I mean, you have this unstoppable, invincible, unkillable machine from the future that you have no idea what it's truly capable of, constantly hunting down our main characters throughout the entire runtime. The tension is unbelievable. You never know when he's gonna pop up next, and you never know what he's capable of doing and the lengths he's willing to go. Linda Hamilton is brilliant, Michael Biehn is brilliant, and Arnie is just a force to be reckoned with, an unbelievably menacing presence throughout the whole damn movie. Of course, the action scenes and the gore and the chase scenes, all of that is just magnificently done. Cameron and his team and the entire cast knocked it out of the park with this one, giving us one of cinema's most iconic movies. Are you looking for the perfect gift for the movie lover in your life, or maybe you just want to treat yourself? Then look no further than the most unique piece of movie art you could possibly have with MoviePalette. Visit moviepalette.com right now and use code BAM15 at the checkout for 15% off your order. And now, back to the video. Number 4. Avatar: The Way of Water. I've honestly always been anticipating the inevitable release of this one. And it is safe to say, and I am so grateful and happy and relieved to be able to say it, Cameron did it again, the crazy son of a bitch. This movie blew away every expectation I had. No, it's not a straight 10 out of 10 or anything like that, because it's 3 hours and 15 minutes long, and don't get me wrong, I love my long movies. I mean, all of my favorite movies of all time are either over or at least near that 3-hour mark, if not past that. But I did find some of the pacing was a bit off, and there were some scenes that didn't feel totally necessary, but aside from that, I loved everything. This is by far the best looking movie I've ever seen. Probably about 95% of this movie is completely CGI, and it is flawless. Like, absolutely flawless. The most lifelike CGI I have ever seen. Setting a brand new standard, raising the bar unbelievably, extraordinarily high. Aside from the visuals though, this movie, in my opinion, improved on the story a little bit. It wasn't as basic as the original. It also improved on the characters, because now it's not just Jake and Neytiri, we have a whole family, and that family is the driving force and the heart of the entire movie. I fell in love with each and every one of them for the first time or all over again. The action goes big, and this movie is just, it's stunning. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I don't have enough words to describe just how good this movie looks. And I am all in for Avatars 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, I hope that this one makes bank and that we get all 3 of the planned sequels. I want to see Cameron's entire vision play out, and I'm honestly just, I can't wait. You know, get me to 2024, 5, 6, whatever it's supposed to be. I am already there opening night for Avatar 3. Number 3, Avatar. I have always been a major defender of this first one. Avatar, in some aspects back in 2009, really changed the way that I saw movies. Now, not entirely. I've always been a movie lover, but just the cinematic experience, the experience of going to a theater and having countless sold-out shows week after week after week, and just what it means to be a part of that, and what it means to be a movie on the big screen. Like I just said with the previous entry being this movie's sequel, this movie, when it released, blew people's minds because everything we were seeing on screen for the vast majority of this movie was completely CGI, computer-generated imagery, and it looked lifelike. It looked real. Aside from that, though, I've never had a problem with this movie's more basic plot. A lot of people say it's like Dances with Wolves, or Fern Gully, or Pocahontas with blue people. That doesn't bother me at all. I never understood that argument. If those movies don't get shit for being like the other one, why should Avatar just get shit for being like those ones? The action is just friggin' explosive, chaotic, balls to the wall fun. I think they nailed the emotion here. I think they nailed the stakes here. I loved all of the characters, even if they didn't go as in-depth in this original one as they did in the sequel. I still love Jake. I love Neytiri. I love Stephen Lang as our main villain Quaritch. And I will never, and I mean never, forget the first time that I laid eyes on Pandora, the most well-realized, fleshed out, incredible fantasy world arguably ever. Number 2, Aliens. This one, in my humble opinion, is just flat out one of the best movies ever made. One of the best sequels, one of the best action/horror movies. Sigourney Weaver, as always, delivers in her lead role as Ripley. I loved Michael Biehn in this one, just like I did in the original Terminator. This is probably my favorite performance from the late, great Bill Paxton. I think the action is freaking insanely good. I think the horror elements are just as good as the original, and it has an even more memorable and likable cast of characters. It's got the heart, it's got the stakes, it's got the intense sequences, the big explosive action sequences, it's got the horror sequences, it introduced us to the Queen alien. I really don't have a single flaw with this sequel. I think it's a flat out freaking masterpiece. Number 1, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Speaking of sequels and action movies and best movies ever made, I really do feel like T2 checks off all of those boxes. Potentially the best sequel ever made, potentially the best action movie ever made, and among my very favorite movies of all time, just like Aliens. This movie gets everything right that the first Terminator did, but just stepped it up in every single category. The action goes bigger, it goes better, it's all practical effects when it comes to the explosions and gunfights and everything. The T-1000 is one of the most iconic and memorable villains of all time, with Robert Patrick delivering an unforgettable performance. Arnie is even better and delivers tons of brand new, unthinkable layers to this heartless, soulless machine that no one thought was possible. Linda Hamilton, my god, in this one gives one of the best, if not the best, leading female performance of all time as this hardened, war-torn, but still deeply flawed and emotional Sarah Connor. And although unfortunately Edward Furlong didn't really go on to do a whole lot after T2, this was his breakout role, and I actually thought this dude was phenomenal here. And without a doubt, T2 Judgment Day is my favorite of his movies. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, don't forget to comment and let me know how you would have ranked all 9 of James Cameron's movies. If you're a movie lover whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you. Be it rankings like this one, top 10s versus videos, tier videos, I have it all and so much more, with over 600 videos already on the channel for you to enjoy, and many more coming each and every week. So if you enjoyed this particular video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button right now. While you're at it, if any of that sounds like it's right for you and you want to see more from me, then smash that subscribe button. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.